Welcome back to Minus 16, the podcast where we talk tech and the business of YouTube. And believe it or not, that's 2 weeks gone. And our last podcast kind of lit up a bit, Alex. We did something right.
We're absolutely skyrocketing right now.
Cracking,
double the size of the channel.
Yeah, we got over 50 subs and almost 3,000 views on that last one. So yeah,
thank you all so much.
More the same, indeed.
Thank
you.
Existing ones, thanks for your support.
Somebody told us off for talking over one another, and I think Daniel chipped in and said,
"It's a conversation."
It's a conversation. And talking of Daniel,
yes,
shall we reveal?
Ta-da!
Hello.
Look who's here.
So what better way to go off success than to bring me in? Hey, just like that. Just like
I know.
that.
If you can bring some of your sub counts to our Minus 16 podcast, we'll be very grateful. Not that we're whoring you in at all for any particular reason. It's just, we like the look of your 35,000 subs. So,
good. So do I. I like it too.
So the three of us are kind of together. I'm kind of here running the desk, recording it. The two boys are in my other home in the Cotswolds.
Beautiful spot, to be honest.
You're in my seat. That is my seat. That's where I sit when I come to the studio.
I had to rearrange the whole furniture today. We'll talk about it. Yeah,
yes, because that will be part of
so
that will be part of the tech side of what's going on today. It looks very simple, hopefully, but there's been quite a lot going on in the background to make this happen.
I'll say in advance, it will be a miracle if everything goes well without any hiccups. But yeah.
Sorry, Alex is pushing the buttons, so I've got complete faith.
Okay, so as you may have seen on Twitter, Daniel is over in the UK. I met up with him in London on the day that he landed, and his two kids, poor sods, their eyes were so red. They were really pooped, weren't they?
They were tired, and a lot of that was just because we'd landed that morning, and we had to wake my son up from his nap so we could come and meet you in London, which was good because we needed to keep him awake so we could go and get a full night's sleep, which they did. And they've pretty much recovered, barring a few things here and there. But most of the time, it's we're pretty good.
Good. And then from London, you've hot-footed it down to Alex's neck of the woods, haven't you?
Yes. Yeah, we just left his kids in the gym, basically, where I go. But they've got like an open space there.
We can't see you at the moment, Alex. Alex, we can't see you. We're looking at, there we go. That's it. Yeah. We've got all three of us now.
He calls it a gym. It's like a spa retreat with a gym in it. It's very fancy.
It's the Cotswolds, man.
Yeah.
What do you expect?
It's exactly the type of gym you'd expect in the Cotswolds, for sure.
I can picture it. I know. The other side of the life of a YouTuber. That's it. See, there are a few technical issues. So if you subscribed last time, just bear with.
All good.
We're pushing a lot of buttons here.
The audio is going on, so that's fine. I'll just move that camera.
Okay, so the way we're going to sort of talk about things this time around, because of course Daniel's channel, as you well know, is a Samsung, purely 100% in the channel, Samsung only. So we're going to have some vibe. We're going to have some talk. I did drag him into Apple Covent Garden when we were there, to have a little look around, and you couldn't believe how many tables they devoted just to phones.
Yeah, just phones sitting upright, and that was it. Like so much negative space around it, just the phone.
That is pretty much it, yeah. But it was a lovely store. So obviously, since Alex and I were last on, we were then talking about the launch of iPads. I know we can sort of link this to the usability to the tablet S9. So the iPads have come out. I know you bought two, didn't you, Alex? You bought the Air and the Pro.
And I have to say, I've only used one, which is the Pro, mainly because of time. But I do want to go back to the Air and just give it a proper go, because I think there's some potential in there. Mm-hmm. But I don't know if you saw my review, my first impression was, whoever says that 60 hertz doesn't matter is straight up. And I said this to David as well. He's like, I don't notice it. It's like, I don't know, David. It's when I was choosing the Wi-Fi, I was like, come on, how can you not notice this? It's clunky. Well, to my eyes anyway, because I'm used to 120 hertz everywhere.
Yeah.
So I don't know, Daniel. What do you think?
Is there lines getting blurred between the Air and the Pro? Because my understanding was that the Air was always the light version, light not only in design but also in operating system and software and hardware. But now that the Pro is thinner and lighter, it kind of defeats the purpose of it being called the Air. That branding should disappear. Should be the iPad SE, because it's basically that type of formula where they've limited hardware compared to a Pro.
Yeah, I mean, when you put the M2 chip on it, and I still have the M2 iPad Pro, and I'm thinking that thing, there's absolutely nothing wrong with it. to have that chip on the Air, I think you're right. It's almost like, it's no longer an Air. I mean, the only thing that makes it an Air right now is that 60 hertz display, which is, maybe that's how they're keeping the cost so good.
And no Face ID. Good. They said that the Face ID sensor was really expensive, so there's no Face ID on the Air.
You get Touch ID, right? Which is,
you get Touch,
I actually prefer that from a usability perspective, especially for me, because I'm always changing looks. I've got my other nighttime job.
And to your point, Daniel, the Air, as I understand it now, is kind of the way they've gone with Mac. So you've got the MacBook Pro and the MacBook Air. So it's just two different ranges. Whereas, and I think that's the way they're going with the iPads now. Forgetting the iPad itself, the 10th gen and the mini, you've got the iPad Air non-Pro and the iPad Pro.
But if we look at the MacBook Pro, it's beefier, right? It's thicker, it's heavier, it's got bigger internals, and then the MacBook Air is the lighter weight, more portable sort of alternative. Whereas with the iPads, it's like they've reversed that, and the iPad Pro is now the lighter, thinner alternative, and the MacBook Air is slightly thicker, not by much. I think you said it's not a lot thicker, but it's still, it's not as, it doesn't carry that same connection through. From what I can see from an outsider.
It did confuse people. Yeah, absolutely. It did confuse people as to why they went that route. I mean, they've made this thing so thin now. I've already begun to see the videos of people trying to bend it. And have you taken yours out with you much yet, Alex?
I have, yeah. I've used it this morning actually to tidy up a script I'm doing about chair. So I have noticed one thing though, and that is I was pleasantly surprised by it, which is the Magic Keyboard.
Yep.
When you see the announcement, right, my initial reaction was, oh my gosh, they haven't really done much here. They added obviously the row of functions and made it aluminium. It's like, okay, well, aluminum for our viewers in America. But yeah, I thought they did a really good job at, I mean, if this is your first iPad Pro, if you haven't had any iPad Pros before, I think I almost envy you because, it is a lovely, lovely device to use. Is it that much better than the previous and whatever? Of course not, because iPad OS is still the same. But just if I at the moment, and Daniel will hate me for this, but at the moment, if I have the Tab S9 Ultra and the iPad Pro next to each other for me to type on and do some work on it just for typing, I'll pick up the iPad Pro. The only time I would still prefer the Tab S9 Ultra is when I want to do more than just one thing. If I want to do multiple things, if I want to connect to a monitor, I want to use multiple apps and actually be productive. But for focused, like single app working, yeah, the iPad is doing a nice job there right now.
Just before we roll up our sleeves and get into it with the S9 and the iPad, and that's a real conversation I want to have, particularly sort of the multitasking thing. So I'm coming at this very fresh, very wet behind the ears because this is my first iPad Pro. And after we record this, I'm about to record the A-roll for the main video this week. And I think the first maybe 5-6 minutes of it is all about the keyboard. I am blown away with how good that keyboard is.
It's something else. I do have a big question for you on the display though. I don't know. I still think you made a mistake, but
that's on the list. There's this guy. It's going to be spicy. There's plenty to get through. And I'm not saying I'm not wrong yet, but we'll get to that one. With the keyboard, the function keys, I can't believe they haven't always been there. Of course, this being my first one, it's as if they've always been there. And I'm using the brightness, I'm using the expose, the volume. I mean, it just seems so obvious to have that row of function keys there. It's like working on a MacBook, isn't it now? With that larger glass trackpad with the haptic kickbacks, it just feels like working on a Mac.
It's pretty good. I mean, I enjoyed the Magic Keyboard before, and that's been potentially the main reason why I chose to upgrade my 2017 iPad initially. It was like 2018 came on, I was like, there's nothing new. Same story really. Since 2018, if you think about it, not much has changed. But yeah, using that keyboard, even the previous one, is nice. And I was actually surprised that I plugged in the old Magic Keyboard to the iPad Air, fully expecting it to
not to work.
I hate Apple, but it actually worked. I was like, damn it, can't hate you now. That was a nice surprise, to be honest. But then I thought about it, actually, it would be very petty, right, for them to not make it work like they did with the Pencil Pro.
Yeah.
Yeah,
well, with the Pencil Pro, of course, they're able to hide behind the fact, we've had to change the charging and all that. They didn't have so many places really to hide with the keyboard, I suppose. The Pencil I've hardly used. I'm trying to use it as much as possible. But on the S9, is that an OLED display on that, Daniel?
It most certainly is. Yeah,
Right.
it's their dynamic AMOLED 2X. It's got
but only single, not tandem.
Oh, what a shame.
See,
Oh,
if you're not doubled up, we're not interested. I think you need to leave.
Dear. The
Single,
thing is,
single OLED, really?
the thing is, Samsung
2024?
Display have the capability to make that. Well, I mean, they make the one for the iPad. I think it's the 11-inch.
Flex.
Right? I think they do. I think Samsung
They
Display,
do.
because they're separate from Samsung Mobile, it's like they make it for their customer. So if Samsung Mobile is not their customer, then they have to make it for that customer. So they could make something like that if Samsung Mobile wanted it. It's just for some reason they haven't. But the display on the Tab S9 Ultra, and Alex probably agrees with me, it's great if you isolate it on its own. But I've seen Alex's side by side, and you can see a visible difference between the two.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Especially in the darker areas. I mean, they all say, every display thing will say that, right? That we have, darker areas, we've got higher contrast, 10 million to 1, whatever it is that they say. But, it doesn't usually translate to enough unless you put it something side by side. It doesn't really mean a lot to a lot of people. Up until then, I thought, well, it can't get much better than the display you got on the Tab S9 Ultra. But you have to pixel peep a little bit and go, right, in certain apps as well. It's not every app. Like YouTube, HDR content is visible, but on Netflix, I was like, they're both sharp. They're both very contrasty. They're bright as hell, both of them. I haven't taken them both outside and see how, let them do their thing with the auto brightness, but just whacking the brightness to full in a studio environment here. I mean, there's lots of reflection in here. So I think
not on mine as well.
Yeah. Some of the comments I'm having is what I'm seeing the difference is because of the different type of reflectiveness or the anti-reflective, coating that they both have.
So on the Samsung Ultra this year, there was this new anti-reflective coating, wasn't there?
On the phone. On the phone, yes. Yep.
So they haven't carried that over as the tablets yet then?
Well, the Tab S9 Ultra came out before the S24 Ultra. So I imagine, speaking forward, there might be whatever comes out after the S24 Ultra in an Ultra capacity might have that same. But Samsung tablets have never really had the Corning Gorilla Glass coating than what the phones do, because tablets don't necessarily have that same need for protection. A lot of people carry them in bags as opposed to pockets, and something that big doesn't necessarily drop as often. So the phones usually get the better grade of Gorilla Glass. So it'll be interesting to see how Samsung go with partnering with Gorilla if they decide to do something like that for the Tab S9 Ultra, Tab S10 Ultra.
Samsung's release schedule for the tablets is September time, isn't it?
Well,
August, September, isn't that the kind of schedule?
It's previously been 18 months at a time.
Right, yeah.
But there's some rumors that might change for this year. You can't keep up, honestly. They'll have an idea to release something and they'll change whatever schedule they have to suit it. So whatever. If I get a new tablet, I get a new tablet. I'm excited either way. Doesn't really bother me.
Would they call it Tab SX?
I don't know.
Too close to comfort.
I feel like they should call it the Tab S24 Ultra. I mean, they did it with the Note series a few years ago. They brought it in line with the S,
right?
Where it went from Note 5 to 7. It didn't work out for them. But I think they should potentially bring the Tab S series in line in terms of numbers, just to have some alignment. But I don't know. I don't know if they do. I've seen Apple have pretty much dropped the iPad 12 or something. They basically just have it, the Pro, and then the year that it came out, right? That's what they do now. So I feel like, and the chip alongside and the different chip. So I don't know.
It was interesting actually what you said a minute ago, Daniel, about the fact that Samsung made the displays, because there's been this whole, well, not heated, but there's been a debate since the event. Apple came out and made it very much sound as if they developed tandem OLED, which they haven't. But of course, what they had was the financial clout to go to Samsung and say, we want these displays. We're going to buy them. And when you're Apple, you can pretty much buy anything, can't you? And I think that's what went on. So Samsung made them for Apple first because Apple had the biggest dollar.
Well, I think also Samsung Display sort of developed to the customer specifications. So if Apple designed the sort of technology in conjunction with Samsung, Samsung's just the manufacturer. Same with like chipsets. Like Samsung have a fabrication plant that manufactures processors. And like they used to manufacture the Qualcomm Snapdragon processor a few years ago. But it's basically just, the brand gives them the specs, they build it to that spec and they manufacture it on that plant. So I feel like Samsung Display is on a similar ilk where they will get the spec sheet from brand X and then they will develop for that spec sheet. But they have the capacity to do it, right? Because they're one of the biggest display makers
of course,
in the world.
Is their television company separate again?
Yes.
Probably.
Yeah, completely. Like they are completely separate.
Yeah.
LG do the same, right? They're providers of display. I think for the pros, is it?
I think the split is Samsung do the 11-inch and LG are doing the 13. That's what I've seen on Twitter.
Yeah.
You know, source, trust me, bro. That's pretty much what I've gone with there.
I always find it funny when they do that. I mean, Samsung do that with the chips sometimes, like with Exynos and their own Qualcomms. I mean, it's
It depends on demand. If there's a high demand for something, like Apple will have to split off and get different manufacturers to make the same thing for them,
make enough
to increase production. Apparently, they're doing all right. The iPads, aren't they? Because everyone's talking about how good they are, so it's doing well for them.
Yeah, I think a lot will. I mean, it could wear off quite quickly. Like the M1 iPad Pro for me, it was as soon as WWDC, came out and nothing really materialized. That was the end for me. It's like, okay, well, that was a waste of money. So I think.
Are you ready to get burnt again?
Well, I'm almost like one of those things that you don't expect enough, and then if something comes up, you don't feel like I did before. Like I bought the 16 gig RAM, fully expecting, not Mac OS, but fully expecting pro apps and whatever. We're starting to see some of that now. Even with multitasking, it's only just like they're still kind of scratching the surface. But do you need an M4 chip to be able to do that stuff? It's like to run.
They could have done it with the M1 chip that they had a few years ago,
or even the 2018 iPad. To run two apps at the same time. It's like you don't need anything.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, obviously we've got WWDC coming up. And what we get, who knows? Now, before we get talking about, I really want to get into multitasking because I want to kind of pick your brains because both you obviously, Alex, you use both, and obviously Dan, you've got consummate knowledge of Samsung, and I'm just coming into the tablet world. But before doing that, I just wanted to talk about the Nano texture that I put on mine, and I'm right on the. I've got kind of this weekend is my cut. I've got a week tomorrow is my cut-off day, but realistically, if I'm going to do it, I've got to do it this coming weekend, get into London and swap it out. Now, I'm torn. When I met Daniel on Thursday last week, I went into Apple Brompton Road and I took mine and put it alongside one of their shop display units that didn't have it, and I was convinced they looked pretty much identical. Then I come home. It was a little bit flatter, but then I come home and start working, and a lot of my work is writing. And now I've got it in Ulysses, I've got just the white background, black text. And it doesn't look ultra crisp. And if I compare against, say, the Studio Display or my iPhone is obviously OLED, Studio Display is not, but they both look that little bit sharper for not having the Nano texture on. But it's much more restful to work on for longer periods of time. I didn't know almost if the tandem OLED was too sharp. I know it sounds ridiculous.
Mate, I'm really, really enjoying that display. It's, I was using it this morning, using Ulysses in the gym. And, it's a bit like here, there's windows everywhere and it was bright. It was actually sunnier than it is now. No problem at all. I really enjoyed that level of brightness and I'll probably put a opaque sort of protector in it, just because when you do write on it, it's a little bit slippery. That pen isn't, I don't know why they don't change that pencil tip just to make it a little bit more grippy or whatever. But when it comes to the display, I haven't seen in person. I don't know why I didn't do this. I went to the Apple Store. I should have just looked at the other one. But to me, I don't think it can get any better. I mean, the minute you start putting that finish on a display, you're reducing the.
But you're going to put a matte protector on it, so isn't that kind of the same thing?
Yeah, but that's for a specific reason, right?
Yeah.
Yes, one, you can remove it. The other, you can actually get the texture. That's the thing I was going to ask you. Do you get the
grip,
feedback of writing?
Yeah,
on
there's a slight. Obviously, I can't test it authentically, but what I have done is use a pencil on the glass on the phone to feel the difference. And there's definitely some more grip, some more drag with that Nano texture. I mean, at the weekend, Sunday was the first day, I can't remember since when, that I didn't turn on a Mac. I did everything on the iPad. Now, yes, I'm forcing myself to do it. Now, this is kind of, so I'm not sure. If I went back to change it also, because if I wasn't getting Nano, I could come down to 512 and I could save 500 quid by swapping it,
Again, that's the question, right? for me, it comes down to, are you getting in my case, it would be 700 quid upgrade because I'd only got the 256.
Yeah.
Would I be getting 700 quid's worth of benefit?
Well, I've got all of the apps.
When you can get 30 quid.
Yeah.
Right.
And now, of course, where they kind of kicked themselves is we can edit off of a SSD on Final Cut. So you don't even need to have local storage to be able to edit.
Not yet, right? Unless I missed something, because I tried it and it was like, maybe I jumped the gun.
It worked this morning. I put Final Cut on the iPad and I dragged
Has it been updated?
I don't know. I mean, but yes, they updated it last week at the event.
Oh, okay. Right.
So I dragged some ProRes iPhone footage and some log footage straight off an SSD into the timeline.
Yeah.
And also they said they'd improved their color grading. Geez, you want to see what it does to Apple ProRes? Jesus, It looks good. It looks really good. Straight off the bat with no color correction, it looks good. So part of what I'm going to do this afternoon is using that same SSD, which is a Samsung SSD, may I say.
Be careful,
another company.
I wouldn't trust that.
I'm going to drag the same footage into the timeline on the M4 chip and onto my M1 Max and see which exports. No, not doing anything to it, just a straight export to see where we're at with power. That's going to be part of what I'm doing this afternoon after I've finished.
I was going to say that those SSDs are good. I think for sustained usage, though, if you're doing like more than 5-minute recording on them, they do. In my experience, anyway, they do start to jitter a little bit.
Glitchy.
And I think it's just because of that, the sustained performance. When it gets really warm, they are designed to cool down, to keep it cool, so they will throttle a little bit. So in ProRes, what that translates to is really choppy image. It's not just a Samsung; it's anyone that is like up to a gig speed. So go to the 2 gig speed, and I think that's a safer bet for me.
So before we get on,
Samsung do them as well.
I think they do. Mine's only a gig one, but just before we get, and I want to get into multitasking next. On the display side of things, I'm really torn. As I say, it's the fact that I could save myself because I put all the apps, including Final Cut, on there that I want now, and I've used 50 gigs. So, and what am I going to? I'm never going to touch 512, let alone a terabyte. And
this is why I don't go with. I refuse to pay for extra storage, and not just with Apple stuff, but any manufacturer. I just think it's it feels reasonable. Like, if it was 100 quid more, fair enough. And in some cases, it might be just for the next bump. But to get like on the MacBook Pro, for example, if you want to go from like 2 terabytes to 4 terabytes, it's an extortionate amount. And
didn't MKBHD do a video where he spoke about how like storage is like the biggest scam, I guess you could say, because it's not that expensive to make storage.
No.
And all you're doing is adding a different storage card in there. Nothing else changes about the laptop but that extra bit of storage.
Is it the same on the S24 Ultras that they charge you a ransom for?
No, Samsung, since they ditched micro SD cards, they did the same kind of thing where they charge more for storage. They do, in the pre-order period, offer a storage upgrade. I think you experienced that when you pre-ordered your Flip 5. That's here somewhere.
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
I think that makes a bit of a softens the blow for the loyalists. But after that, sometimes they'll run promotions, at least in Australia, every couple of weeks where they'll give you a free storage upgrade. But yes, there is a massive jump in storage price.
So it's pretty industry-wide then. Everyone's ripping us off for storage.
The Tab S9 Ultra has SD card support. So you can buy the base config and chuck in a 2 terabyte SD card, right? And then you've got your expanded storage straight away.
So I thought that was good. Yeah.
I think that's a great option. And I think if the iPad did that, imagine how happy people would be, right? So I don't want to spend, 700 quid for the 1 terabyte, but hey, I can go up to maybe 4 terabytes via an SD card.
Like they pitch it as a creator's tablet, right? Like for creatives live off SD cards. Yeah. So like they could absolutely pitch that as an option for them. But
the Pro,
but they know what they know. Course, They know they're not silly.
That's where they're making a lot of the
dongles, adapters, and storage upgrades. That's their bread and butter.
Absolutely. Third market. Yep. Right. So multitasking. Now, this is a phrase I've heard loads. At the weekend, one of the first things I did was plug it into my studio display, and I was having myself a merry old time. I had the iPad down on the desk, I had the studio display. I was living that life, I had apps dragged up there. I had split view on the studio display, so I had like emails and Twitter down. I was looking at YouTube Studio down here. I thought, well, surely this is multitasking unless I'm missing something. Okay, with a display, I admit, with a display.
Yeah.
But if we're talking purely tablets, how different is, because obviously I've seen split screen now and slide over and all this kind of thing. It's a whole conversation I couldn't have before because I hadn't used the tablet. But now I have. How much better is that experience on the S9 then? What am I losing compared to the S9?
I'll let Daniel go into the detail here because, he's got all the knowledge there. But I think in my experience, every client I work with is different, outside of YouTube. The one currently does require me to use like Windows apps that I don't necessarily want to have on my Mac, even though I could kind of go around it and install the web version of it. I still prefer sometimes to just, do it completely separately to my Mac experience, which is my creator machine. But what I can do on the tab is almost like having it's not like a halfway house between a tablet and a laptop. It is 90% a laptop. I can open Word in there and just work on it. And then if I want to watch a YouTube on the side and picture and another thing, a notes app next to it, or 3 or 4 different things going on, plug in an external display and have even more windows open on a bigger display. I think that to me makes it more kind of worthwhile in terms of how much you spend and what you get from a multitasking perspective. Whereas Stage Manager, I don't know. I'll let Daniel expand a bit on the Tab S9 there. But for me, that's what it means.
I think the Tab S9 Ultra and I guess Samsung tablets in general, the big thing about it is obviously DEX. DEX makes that solution, bridges that gap between tablet and laptop. But sometimes you don't even need DEX to be launched to still get a lot of stuff done. Samsung with One UI have made the tablet have like the taskbar that the Fold started.
Yeah.
That taskbar has reduced my DEX usage in the tablet because it kind of means I can change and swap between apps and drag apps into position with pop-ups a lot quicker than I could before with standard One UI. But what DEX gives you is access to all the keyboard shortcuts that you're used to with Windows. It's a much more familiar layout. You've got your docked taskbar down the bottom with all your apps that sort of sit open. You've got your notifications on the bottom right corner, access to your quick panel, all that sort of stuff. Your app drawers on the left, kind of like a start menu that's on Windows. And then you've got a desktop, which you can drag apps in free position and it opens everything in like a windowed format like a computer. And it just gives you that familiarity of what we're used to, what we've grown up with, which is a desktop like an UI, but on a much more portable sort of form factor.
Yeah. Do you think Samsung went too far? Because I think they just recently changed DEX. I'm not sure if that's on the S24 Ultra, but definitely on the tablet. There's this new flavor of DEX. I was like, what the hell are they doing?
I made a video in January when the new DEX came out because they updated the Tab S9 series to One UI 6 and with it came new DEX.
Right.
And it launches, when you launch DEX, it has a pop-up, welcome to new DEX. And without that pop-up, you wouldn't have known that it was DEX because they basically, all they did was put the taskbar to be permanent down the bottom. And when you launch an app into a pop-up view, you get a little sort of dock at the top that allows you to minimize it, which you can do in One UI anyway.
Yeah.
Quick panel's the same. Yeah, your home screen layout's the same. Everything's the same. But you can go back to classic DEX. Thankfully, they left that in there.
Yeah.
It's not on the phone. I think it's like some sort of bridge between tablet and DEX mode for people. And potentially, I don't want to speak out of turn. I don't work there anymore. But it could be like some sort of trial for taking over, not DEX fully, but One UI. It could replace One UI on the tablet and be like a Tab UI instead of the normal One UI,
right?
Which would work okay. I think that would work fine as long as DEX doesn't go anywhere.
Yeah, it would be nice not to see that splash screen every time. It's kind of, you just want to work on the tablet and just be efficient with it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Are you much of a tablet worker, Daniel?
I use it to write my scripts for my videos. I use the word script loosely. I write dot points and then I go from there. But I use it to put those ideas down in Samsung Notes. And sometimes I'll also have, like with DEX, I'll have the videos open next to it or I'll have something open to sort of swap between. But I've got too many devices that I can work on. I think that's the problem. Being in the tech world is that you have everything available to you, and I sometimes sit there and go, I don't know what I need to use. So I'll ultimately just pick up my phone and start writing Samsung Notes on there, knowing that it will sync to all the other devices I've got as well. But then I also use my tablet out and about when I'm hosting trivia. I'll use it to keep the scoring for, which I do not need a Tablet Slate Ultra for because it's Google Sheets. But I also like tablet for entertainment. And that's for me where I like having the Tablet Slate Ultra, because the display being 16:10 more matches the aspect ratio of entertainment, and then also helps with productivity because the split screen environment is a bit more native as well.
That's a great point. I think that's kind of where, the quality of the display sometimes may be, outdone by just the format. The Tab S9 Ultra for watching content, it can't beat that. It's just made for it. For other things like maybe gaming, I mean, I'm boring old sod, so I play chess a lot. So playing chess on the iPad is actually not a problem because the board is square. So it doesn't make a difference. But watching Netflix or whatever, I'll pick the S9 Ultra.
But another aspect too with the tablet, or Samsung, I guess in general, is with DEX and you travel, you've basically got access to an external display either wirelessly or through a cable. And because it's like a more open platform, supports Miracast, if I've got a hotel and the TV can support Smart View or screen sharing, I can cast Samsung DEX to that TV in the hotel and then still have the tablet screen free to do something else whilst Netflix or YouTube or something's playing on the TV. That's cool, I can still use the tablet screen to do work or check emails and stuff like that whilst it's also doing something else at the same time. That benefit for me is priceless because I'm traveling a lot now. It gives you that flexibility and way more sort of use cases versus just pulling it out and scribbling some notes on it.
What I would love, because I'd love not to have a mix of devices, is for two apps. Like one is Procreate, just because I like having fun with it, and the other one is Ulysses for writing.
Is it not available on Samsung?
No. I have a theory that Procreate is half owned by Apple. I don't know what.
It's an Australian, started in Australia. It's Procreate's an Australian company.
They probably have some sort of exclusivity deal.
I'd say so.
I'm not sure. They won't say, but they're always in their event, and you won't see any Android roadmap in their future. Same with Ulysses. I'm not sure about Ulysses because it's quite a simple app. But yeah, I'd love for those two to be available on. And there are probably others that people go for the iPad just because of
100%. That is 100% accurate for sure.
One problem I did come across, talking of Ulysses, I use Grammarly to check spelling and stuff as I'm writing. And when I started writing on it last Friday, I could not get Grammarly to work at all. And luckily, I wrote about it, and somebody on Medium came back to me and said, you've got to undock the tablet, initiate Grammarly. It's an iPad OS, an external keyboard glitch. And even though it's a genuine Apple keyboard, it does not like third-party plugins. Once it's opened off of the keyboard, I can then have it running again, but I have to use it manually. It won't correct as I'm typing. So using Ulysses on there for any serious, and I generally write three times a week, so 2,000 words a time, so they're reasonable sized stories. And if I'm having to check that manually, so at the moment I've been writing back on a Mac purely because obviously Grammarly works so much better, and that's one of the first glitches that I found.
Yeah, I have there is a workaround, but with that. I have to use Google Keep Notes to copy and paste between the two ecosystems, which is annoying because I'd much rather have either just Samsung Notes or either just Google, but having to have multiple is
benefits of a one brand ecosystem over here. Hey,
yeah, it does. I have thought about it, but it's hard because I do use my Mac a lot for video editing and other things, right? So it's kind of, I need to have the Mac, and sometimes, most of the time, if I'm here in the studio, I'm in front of the Mac. I'm not gonna pick up the tablet to write on it. I just get my custom keyboard and type on that. 'Cause it's nicer.
I love mechanical keyboards are good.
Yeah.
But that's a big niche thing, isn't it? Mechanical keyboards. There's whole channels about mechanical keyboards.
During pandemic, I was deep in the rabbit hole of mechanical keyboard channels. Like I was,
yes, I was going to make a joke about lube and things. But
No. Walk away now. We had a good run on the last episode, mate. Don't go the lube route, please. I haven't got that much time to edit. You know?
No. Especially when you say I went deep in the
Okay, moving on. You might well go red indeed.
Good. Very good. Something else, the pen. The pen doesn't really get a mention. But Apple charge you for it. It comes included with the tablet of the Samsung. Like it's the Tablet Sign Ultra. The pen is in the box, right? That's $150 worth of value. Yeah, that Apple charge you, right?
Crazy. Yeah. Which again gives when I said about value for money and what you get. Yeah, it's crazy, right? To get an SD card slot in there, so you can expand your storage for almost nothing, and the pen. Yeah, the pencil, of course. The Apple Pencil has more functionality now, but I actually prefer the feel of the S Pen. So I think you are getting a lot for your money when you go with the Tab.
Yeah, I mean, obviously I can't compare it to the S Pen, but all I can say is that I haven't used any of the new functions on the Pencil because when I bought it, it was very much just for the channel anyway, but I'm not an artist, I'm not a drawer, so I use it a little bit when I'm editing photos. I try to use it more than when rather than just touching the screen, I'm trying to use the pencil to navigate and move things around just because I hate smeary screens, don't we all? But I mean, no, I've not used it. It's sitting at the top of the iPad looking pretty and doing diddly.
Hey, it looks good there though, doesn't it?
Yeah,
it looks good. Like
I got some gorgeous B-roll of it yesterday. Really, my thumbnail this week features it because I thought I need to make it work, and we're going to get onto thumbnails in a little while. And just before we begin, sort of getting over into the YouTubing techie side of it, there. When you go traveling, Daniel, how many devices do you? Because I noticed I watched your video at the weekend about those glasses, and you finished editing that in London.
I did.
So you obviously, I'm guessing you got a laptop with you and a couple of phones and a tablet.
Yeah, it's a beast.
Yeah, I got the Book 4 Ultra, which is Samsung's, I guess, Ultra laptop. That's kind of like the MacBook Pro.
And you're running Premiere on that, aren't you?
Premiere Pro, Premiere Pro. I haven't gone into DaVinci Resolve or anything like that yet.
I'm very jealous. That looks amazing. Yeah,
it's very powerful. I do notice that off power, it probably needs to be plugged in to run Premiere Pro at its full capacity. But that's also because I reduced the power consumption to sort of balanced instead of like all the time. I'm looking forward to seeing what the X Elite, like the mobile processors, do for Windows. But obviously that fits into my workflow a lot more. I take with me that. I've got my Tablet Sign Ultra, which is in my bag. I take a portable monitor, the Espresso Display 17 Pro. And then now,
seen that on your channel.
I didn't have to. I probably shouldn't have cut that out.
No, they need to send me
one. There's
I'll shut up about it when they send you.
And then just a variety of. I brought the glasses because I needed to finish that video, but I did use them on the plane. They were quite good to have DEX plugged into. Speaking of DEX, and having the environment in front of me, which was nice, but I probably wouldn't have brought them if I didn't need to finish the video. And then I also bring like battery packs and I bring too much. I bring far too much, but never know. 5 weeks away from home.
That's a long stretch.
If I'm going to be making videos potentially while I'm here, I need to have stuff available to me. So
that's probably a very good transition point. So here you are 5 weeks away from home, studio. How much batching did you do? Have you done a load of videos? You've got a load scheduled in studio ready to be launched while you're away?
Yeah, so I obviously do my channel and I make videos for Sam Mobile, and I pretty much, as I hit record on A-Roll like 2 months ago, I just decided I'll just record an extra one. Like I'll just add an extra video in. I'll just go like 5 things about One UI you don't know about, and I'll just rattle off 5 things, and like I'll take care of the B-roll later. I'll either do screen recordings or I'll do it on the way. Fortunately for myself, I've done all the B-roll and the A-roll. It's all there. I just now need to. I edited 3 in advance and uploaded them. I now have another 2 that need to be edited and uploaded
on the fly while you're on
the fly while I'm here, which is fine. Like I have the footage, and my editing workflow is quite easy. Like I don't do LUTs or log or ProRes or anything like that. So I literally have the A-roll. I've glinged it up. Best product ever. Thank you for showing me that, by the way. Yeah, and I literally just chuck B-roll in as I'm sort of going through the timeline as it's needed, and then export, and it's done.
Gling. Now, I've not used it yet. I know Alex is a massive believer in Gling.
I'm a big fan. Yeah, they are almost like a daily update right now. They're constantly updating their app.
Sometimes it's annoying because I can be mid
new upload,
and it's like mid upload of a video, and it's like, oh, do you want to quit and update? Not really. I prefer not to.
Like everything's working. I don't need it.
Yeah.
But just to give you an idea, I think that happens with a lot of startup apps like that, right? I was trying to edit my videos in Portuguese for the Brazilian channel, and it was a bit of a, they had a bug in there that it didn't cut them properly. But yeah, I was on the Discord server, and within a couple of weeks, they had an update that fixed it. And now, I mean, I must have done about 100 videos now in total. It's a game changer for me. It's saved mainly because I mess up a lot. Here it's fine because it's a conversation, there's no script. But yeah, when I'm trying to nail the script and trying to kind of, say something without sounding like an idiot.
Thank you for saving me the edit. Thank you.
I'm like, when I use it, I'm not someone who likes to do things twice. Like if I do a take, I'll usually just say that's good enough. But with Gling, because of how it can literally just cut that take out straight away, I will happily redo another take. I'll try and find a better way of saying it, because it will remove the thing that I didn't want to say straight away. Yeah. And then you can export it in Premiere Pro as an XML file, which then adds all the cuts are there. So if you needed to extend something out because it maybe cut off a word, you can do that, or you can extend it so you regain the space. It's amazing. I can't speak highly enough of it.
Yeah, it's almost too good sometimes, because sometimes I leave things that I'm either making a face or kind of doing an expression or something, and that gets cut out.
And I forget I've made the face, and I just, I did that. Yeah. And then
is lost in the
it's lost. Cut. It's never to be seen again.
But that's because it's too good, right?
Yeah.
Just removing silence and ums and ums. And sometimes it's like, I need that because
it can take, like, for me, most of my A-rolls, I'll shoot for probably between 25, 30 minutes, and it'll cut that down to like 18 minutes or like 20. Awesome. It cuts heaps out. Like if my son rolls in during the take and I go, I'm recording, like it'll cut that out. Or like if I have to step out because there's a delivery, it'll cut that bit out. I'll just leave the camera rolling. So it's very, very, very helpful. Not sponsored, but open to it.
You said earlier on, I think on that point we're similar. You outline, you don't script, you don't fully script, you outline.
It depends on the day. Sometimes I'll start writing an intro, because I usually like to script my intros, and then I'll keep writing, and I'll keep writing as I'm thinking. But then when I get to recording, I'll read what I wrote. I'm like, I don't like that at all. And I'll just completely paraphrase it on the fly. And sometimes not even bother with the order that I've made. As long as I stick to the order, because usually I record the B-roll in the order that I've wrote it down in. That way, at least when editing, it's going to be a lot snappier and quicker.
Yeah.
But yeah, it depends on the day. Sometimes I'll write fully. Sometimes I'll write dot points. Depends on the video. If it's a video with like 5 hidden features, I'll just write the feature and I'll know what to say. If it's a video like a review, I'll like write a bit more detailed thoughts down. So at least it jogs my memory on the day when I'm recording.
I tried it last year to do like completely no script, just maybe a few bullet points. And I enjoyed as I was doing it. I hated the edit because it was hard still. So I think I just need to do more and get more comfortable. But I enjoyed when I was doing it without the script. It just felt a lot more conversational. And I can see people's reaction to it as it was good, as more relaxed.
Sometimes your brain comes up with better things to say in the moment versus when you write it down. Like sometimes you can write stuff down and it sounds too formulaic, sounds like a formula. Yeah. Whereas when you're thinking it on the fly, it sounds like you're speaking a bit more naturally.
It's got your character, isn't it?
That's why podcasts do so well, because everyone's just sitting around having a chat. Yeah.
I did for a very short time. I bought a teleprompter and I used it only for a short time because I think it just lost my character. I was reading words and, I don't think people can necessarily see that I was reading, but it just didn't have my soul and my intonation and where I'd naturally break. And, we've all got our own style. And so I did try it for time. It's particularly when I was doing a lot of stuff about the Vision Pro before it came out. I was trying to get a lot of technical stuff down that Marcus had given me that I really didn't fully comprehend. So I didn't want to misdeliver it. So I was reading that. And I got into this habit. Then I've come back now to those kind of radio days. I outline everything. And as you know, Alex, I basically take it from a story that I've written. And that's exactly what I've done this morning. Something I wrote last Friday. I've gone through that, pulled out all the salient points. And the main thing I find of doing that, as opposed to completely freewheeling, is you're still telling a story. You're still managing to go A, B, C, get to the end, and you've covered all the points in hopefully a decent order. So
if you were using a Samsung device, you could summarize that in bullet points.
Yeah, Samsung Notes can just summarize an entire thing, and don't trust me, I'll use that all the time, especially for a long script.
It's not a gimmick,
I'll summarize it, and that's a future video. Actually, Galaxy AI gimmick or good. I go through and I grade all the AI features on the S24 Ultra, whether they're a gimmick or whether they're good. And that summarize feature is absolutely not great. A gimmick at all. It's very great. Good.
I mean, the writing assist in general, I think that there's only one thing in there that I don't particularly like, which is the one where it changes your whatever you're saying to a social style. But everything else, if you just type a random message and so I make it more professional or make it more casual, that is a game changer for me, because it doesn't change the way you're saying it either. It kind of tries to keep your tone of voice, which is I rate that. That's really, really good.
And I realise we're sort of in the YouTube part of the pod, but something that affects YouTube wise, I would have thought quite a lot, was Google's I/O last week, was because presumably a lot of that will find its way onto Android, onto a Samsung.
Yeah, I missed it.
Okay, it's a tough one, because Google will announce a lot of that stuff for like baseline Android, and then Samsung on the side to that are developing pretty much their own things, because Samsung One UI has to be different from Android. It just has to be, because if they're battling this beast of Apple, Apple's big advantage is that iOS is everything Apple. It's Apple is the face of all of it. Samsung, I guess, want to try and be the Android version of that. And to do that, you can't just ride off the coattails of Google. So yes, Google I/O probably had some influence or will have some influence, but Samsung will likely be developing their own brand and version of the AI stuff that we saw for One UI to separate themselves and market it, because if they wanted to be Google, they could literally just make it a Google phone, but it doesn't stand out then. So yeah, Google I/O, I didn't really pay much attention to it, to be honest.
No, I heard on Twitter and stuff that it was very AI focused, and as you'd expect with Google. I mean, last year was already they said the word so many times.
Yeah, and apparently it was really dull. I mean, that's not me being biased. Apparently people that report on the Google events just said it was a really dull event.
Yeah, I mean, it's only going to be fine tuning now from an AI perspective. It's only going to get better as he learns. But I don't know, they're not really that. Even their Pixel devices, they've been awesome since Pixel 6, in my opinion. How much better they can. I mean, the cameras can only get better, but
yeah,
I think there's not a lot to be excited in general. I mean, when it comes to that brand anyway.
Let's talk titles and thumbnails, because when I was grabbing coffee with Daniel last week, his approach and style to thumbnails is 180 degrees or 360 degrees, probably completely opposite. I dedicate a lot of time, normally on a Monday, over the weekend, I've got it locked down, what I think in my head the thumb's going to be.
Yeah.
And the first thing I do for the video that week is come in on a Monday and shoot the thumb, and I'll spend hours shooting and just repositioning things on the desk fractionally, getting the set dressed just as I want it. And then obviously think of the title. But Daniel, you're working entirely out of Canva, right?
Like, it is a completely different setup.
I was sitting there, my jaw was on the floor thinking, all this time I'm wasting.
When I do my B-roll for my videos, I will, the first thing I'll do before I do the main B-roll segment is I will position the phone in certain parts of the screen, thinking about the thumbnail. Like, I have the idea in my head, and I'll want the phone on this side. I want to focus on the cameras if it's a camera focused video, and that's it. And then I'll grab that frame and I'll chuck it in Canva, move the background, add a different background from Canva, put some text on the right-hand side, put an arrow and the crown. You see the yellow.
The crown.
I told David the yellow crown in my thumbnail is actually there by accident.
Right.
I put it there one video because I liked the yellow that it had. So I liked that I wanted that to be my text for all the thumbnails that I do. But I never saved it anywhere, the yellow color. So I put the crown on, and then I used the eyedropper to make the color for the text, and then I just leave the crown there. But it's very, very low. I wouldn't say low effort. It's just I have the formula that I like, and the main one that I use now at the moment is if it's a video about settings or something, I will have a green screen of the phone, and then I'll key that out in Photoshop and then put a screenshot of the thing I'm talking about to be the background. And then it's much brighter and better that way too.
And Alex, where are you at with your thumbs?
Yeah, I mean, I do have a process, but I've been trying a few different things. I think, with the S24 Ultra was an example where I tried to have me showing the device, or sometimes out of focus, just so people can get that familiarity. Because I don't have a style of thumbnail. I try to use red in at least one word in the thumb, but I wouldn't call that a style, right? It's just something that I thought looks slightly consistent. But I've tried different fonts. I've tried different styles. I spend way too much time thinking about it and producing it. Sometimes not enough time. So I just need to come up with a way that, I like when people say that they don't record the video until they've got a thumbnail nailed.
Thumbnailed.
Yeah.
Boom. Boom.
We'll allow that in post. But I was going to say, for me to do that, I need YouTube to step up a little bit on the A/B testing.
A/B testing.
I do agree there.
Once that's in place, I would 100% spend, way before I even write the script. Like I need the A, B, and C thumbnails ready, and then I'll do the rest of the video. Up until because up until then is like whatever I do is a 50-50 whether it's going to work or not, and usually it doesn't. So I always produce more than one anyway. I think the iPad video I've uploaded did okay for the first 24 hours, and then it just did the usual, tail off. And I'm like, what happened, right? Because it was really strong, it was 5.5 minutes retention. And then the CTR went, as soon as you got more impressions, and I guess it goes to a different audience at that point, it tells to 6.6%. And I'm like, what the hell? What happened? So I wish I knew, and I wish there were multiple versions out there that I could tell which one was working. But yeah.
It's interesting to mention that, because the iPad video out last week, pretty much the same. It started off out the gates, it did brilliantly and just hit a rock face.
Oh yeah, it did, I think.
Yeah. And I couldn't work out why. It was getting a lot of interaction. It was getting subs. It was, people were liking, and the retention was decent from what I remember. Certainly above average, the studio was telling me. And yet it just hit a rock face and just suddenly was hardly getting any views. And I altered the thumbnail and title slightly, but not a lot, because by that point it's kind of a sailed ship. It is what it is.
Yeah, and I think it is. I think I said that in the last podcast. I don't know if it was our podcast or with Dave, but I was basically saying before the device is launched, there's a lot more curiosity, right? So channels like ours, the kind of fairly unknown channels, do really well if we play our cards right in terms of timing the video and titling it in an enticing way. Once the device is out, and we had a week right before we could get our devices in hand, it's hard to compete, right? Because you've got every single creator out there already published
on the embargo list. Yeah.
So that was the thought when I started my channel last year. That was the thing I was thinking about, was how am I going to cut through the audience that already see videos of Mr. Who's the Boss, MKBHD, to an extent Linus, although he doesn't really do smartphone videos anymore. How am I going to cut through that? And my angle was tell them how to use it. Yeah. Because the phone, people don't just have the phone for 2 weeks. People will have the phone for a lifetime. Some people multiple years. So I'm like, well, they only need to know how to use it. Some people might search for the camera 6 months later. So I was like, well, that's my angle. And that's how I've, I guess, stayed relevant. And the subscribers that have come through are like, they're expecting that now.
Oh no, the launch, right? You're showing people useful stuff in every video. It's incredible. And I my hat's off to you, because I couldn't do that. It's a lot of work.
It's almost like every video is evergreen, almost. Because somebody's always going to want to know how to use the S22, S23 camera settings, notes, whatever. Because I know you go granular into all of the Samsung apps as well. I mean, you really break it down and get into the weeds.
And I've still got some that I haven't covered yet. And I'm holding off on doing it for when I need a period of time where I don't have any content. I know I can do a video on Samsung Health. No one will know that app better than I will. But I feel like that's an angle that is often not explored in the tech community. It's more of I need to do a review, and that's it. That's how people consume content. But there's definitely more angles you can take in these spots where there's not a lot happening. And I think with iPads, for you, David, you're exploring it. I feel like that's an angle you could potentially look into, is exploring iPads for first-time iPad users and going through the nitty-gritty and granular stuff and guiding people through that process. And that could be an evergreen sort of content that you can keep out there for longer to cut through the heavy iPad stuff that is already being made.
Yeah, good shout. I mean, that's kind of the one on battery core tonight. It's kind of got some of those, like that keyboard issue. Now, people will be searching for that endlessly. And luckily, I've come across a workaround and solution to it. And some of the things I'm finding, why can't I do that? And how would you go about doing that? And even silly things, kind of, I mean, obviously, Alex, you've been there, but it was almost, I use a receipt bank thing, for business. And I had to get a screenshot on the iPad. And I now work out, okay, just take a screenshot, put it in files, and I can drag it from there. But there's workarounds to everything. But again, if somebody's, and a lot of people buying iPads, did you know that the tag-on rate, the attach rate for people that own Macs have got iPads? What do you think the percentage is of, not iPhone users, of Mac owners? What would you think the attach rate of people then that got Macs also own iPads? Joel said this in one of his interviews recently.
It's high. I'd say 90%.
Oh, okay. It's 55 or something.
Oh, right. Okay.
55% of Mac owners have got an iPad. So that kind of leads me on also to thinking, why would you want a touchscreen Mac? People that are using Macs have already got iPads.
That was always my assumption. But is that an iPad in general? Because I thought if you have like a MacBook Pro, I would say the likelihood of someone having an iPad Pro as well is quite high as well. I'm not sure.
No, he didn't break.
Are in that equation.
He didn't sort of say desktop, iMac, or he just said Mac owners.
Mac owners will have 55 of them will have an iPad as well. Yeah, I thought it would be higher, to be honest. But yeah, I always had a feeling that it's if you have a Mac, you likely have an iPad as well.
And content pipelines. I know I've spoken to you, Alex, and I don't know if it's changed or not. When I was there last, you had physically a whiteboard with content on. Daniel, how far ahead are you planning?
Well, I had, for obviously having to travel, I started, I think, in March planning a May list of videos for May, June, and I've just been sort of ticking them off as I go. Normally it's probably, I would say, like maybe 2 weeks, 2-3 weeks ahead. Sometimes I'll spontaneously think of a video, record and edit it and upload it all in the same day. Funnily enough, sometimes those videos are like my best videos because they're a great idea. I'm like,
you got a thought bomb and it's
a solid idea. I'm like, this is going to work. So I just make it and put it out there. But yeah, I don't try and plan too far ahead. A lot of the times it's because if I do, then something will happen. Like Samsung will release a software update and I'm like, well, that video I had planned for Sunday is got to move because this software update happened and I need to compare the software updates. And I know that video I know people want to watch that from me because that's what they're subscribed. And I also like making them because I like finding the granular differences. So I leave myself a bit open, but I also have ideas there just sort of scattered that if I do need something that week, I'm like, all right, I'll make that one because that'll at least get me through.
That's my struggle right now, actually, to make that plan stick. I think there's, when you came here last year, I had a whiteboard. The whiteboard is dead, is collecting dust somewhere. So I actually hired someone for 3 days a week to help me with that stuff because it became too much. And so we're using something called Monday.com.
Yeah, I've seen that being advertised everywhere.
We tried the other one, and Notion. I got really technical with link tables and all sorts, but then it's like, can't manage this. So it needs a full-time job to manage it. Whereas Monday is almost like a spreadsheet with a bit more functionality, and it's easier. It's on the app and whatever. So I think that seemed to be working, but we're constantly moving stuff. I recorded and edited a full review for Smart Ring.
Oh yeah.
And that's been, we'll do it because it's not sponsored. It's not really, there's no pressure.
You can hold that back a little bit.
It's getting bumped.
Yeah.
There are 2 videos I'm behind in Brazil. I'm just constantly, with iPads launching, whatever, you think, you say yes to too many deals as well. And then it's like,
it can feel overwhelming. I have to have my list. I have to put what brand deal is attached to that video. When you write your video ideas down, what is it that you're writing? You're writing just the concept or are you writing the title? Sometimes I think of a great title for a video and I'm like, the title's great. The title will get clicks. I just need to flesh out the content behind it and I'll write the title down as the video idea and then I just wait.
Similar here. I mean, I'll write almost, I'll start writing the hook. And the title is the first thing that I put up there. In the end, if that ends up being the title that I go with, will depend on how it fits in the thumbnail and whatnot. But the general idea, is the first thing that goes in there.
Like my one that's going up on Sunday is about Samsung Internet. And I thought of don't use Chrome. I'm like, great, what a hook.
Yeah.
You know, everyone loves Chrome for some reason. And then the thumbnail is use this instead, pointing to the Samsung Internet icon on the screen.
I've been paying attention to what should be on screen as well in those first 15, 20 seconds. It seems to be working from a retention perspective. It used to be not terrible, like 60%, which is, you know, for my channel has always been about that. When it's 65 or 70%, like, you know, retention in the first 30 seconds.
Yeah.
It's really good. So 60 has been all right, but I noticed like it's gone up to 65 since I used text and made the hook more like punchy. And
I've punched up the hook a lot more with myself. It's a lot tighter. Like I get to my intro animation a lot quicker than what I used to. It's like maybe 10 seconds, 10 seconds, and then I've shortened the animation to be like 2 seconds, and then some punchy music to get everyone dancing and up and about.
On the homepage, they're almost not clicking on the thumbnail anymore. They're scrolling for the first few seconds, right?
I will sometimes watch the entire video on that part because I'm like, well, at least I won't get ads. And I'm like, well, now I'm like, what a counterintuitive thing. I've monetized and I'm not watching ads for myself.
Yeah, I mean, when part of my sort of Monday routine of the thumb is I'll always try and come up with the title at the same time. If there's text on the thumb, which normally is normally no more than 4 words, but I will always then bring that into the first 15, 20 seconds of my intro. So hopefully I'm beginning to tell that story. That's what, I don't know if it's rubbish or not, but I'm trying to think that idea through, that if somebody's clicked on it, I'm delivering at least on what they've clicked on. And if I can just keep them interested in what's coming up and what we're going to come back to, you know, get those hooks in quite early, and just try and deliver. I mean, I think if you know, you're honest with the audience that comes back to you. Although I know we mentioned this, Daniel, last when we were walking around town, that it's a crazy amount. I'd be interested to know what your figures are, Alex. We were talking about non-subscribed viewers. My non-subscribed viewers are crazy higher than my subscribed viewers on videos.
I haven't looked at my analytics on that, but what is...
It was about 80% non-subscribed.
So if you go to your analytics tab in Studio, which you've deleted, you can see how many people have watched that are subscribed versus non-subscribed.
Yeah, I do remember you always being higher non-subscribers. Yeah,
I thought
most YouTubers closer. I think are on that sort of spectrum.
Most people don't know who you are, and I forget that sometimes. And if you're referring to like an internal joke that you had in the channel, or you know, something you mentioned in the previous video, I always go, oh, yeah, this might be your first time here. So it's kind of...
But I think it's fine to leave that and not refer back, because people might get intrigued as to what that's about, and then they'll go back and subscribe. It's like a sitcom. You're watching a sitcom. They're not constantly referencing the previous episodes say, go watch this episode. They're like, they're hoping that the show is good enough that people will go back and watch it.
That's true, yeah.
And again, I know it sounds kind of repetitious, but call to action, it works.
Which is why you're saying over, because I used to not say every time.
Yeah.
Because you're like, I've already said it last video, but you know, you're right. It's your first time here, you're going to hear it again, because
I always leave it at the end. I'm a big at the end guy with it. I just say, if you like what I'm doing here, hit subscribe, go check out some other videos, come follow me on Twitter/X.
Do you think that's a risky policy? You know, because if your attention, if they're not going through to the end, do you not think it's better to sort of beef it in somewhere?
Yeah, I feel like if I do it in the middle, I don't know, I'm distracting them from the core message that I'm trying to send them, which is showing them how to do the thing. And I see that when I put a integration in, not to put off any sponsors, but you know, you see that
dip,
and you see the dip,
of course,
and that potentially is off-putting from the message of, this is what I'm showing you. Like, this is the camera feature I'm showing you. So I don't know. It hasn't not worked. Like I still get subscribers. So like I'm not.
Yeah, no, you definitely want onto something. And I think we should experiment, right? Because it might change from channel to channel. I think sometimes even having twice has worked for me. So I can see the similar video getting more subs if I mention it at the end as well. And I heard that someone said, I mean, there's a big YouTuber, forgot who he was exactly, but it was in a podcast. And they were saying, if you wait until the end, whoever stayed until the end to watch you the video is already
invested in you. Yeah.
So that reminder might be just a nice reminder for them. Oh yeah, of course I'll subscribe, because you know I want to watch more videos. And perhaps they've already watched 10 of your videos, And until you click like, can you please say subscribe? They'll go, all right, of course. Didn't realize
sometimes I'll say, I'll give a teaser to a future video. I'm like, I've got this video planned, so subscribe to watch that one when it comes out. But that's it. I won't say sort of anything else. I'll just drop that little nugget. And then
I do kind
it's
of.
definitely worth saying at any point, right? Because if you don't say it,
I just don't draw it. I think stretching it out, depending on your audience. If your audience appreciates that style of explaining and sort of detail, then I think that type of appreciation will be reflected when you do that as well. So it's all down to your audience. It's all down to your audience.
It is,
it's so audience
who your demographic is, and if you know what they're investing in you, they're obviously coming back to you for a reason, and hopefully it's your delivery, and you've kind of learned what your audience like, and you've got to read it. It's your job to read them, and to try and. I mean, I do dislike it when creators put in a call to action within the first couple of minutes. Like, deliver, give me something.
I've never done that.
I think
I need to know what you're going to give me first.
MKBHD said it, and it stuck with me even before I started a YouTube channel. He said that I'm watching your video and you're telling me to subscribe, but I don't know what I'm subscribing for.
Exactly.
It's like, you've given me nothing to subscribe to. You've just said to subscribe, and I've never seen you before. So you've given me no value. What's my point? What's my reason?
That. Yeah, never got that.
And as if also, I mean, we mentioned our last episode of the podcast, and on that, I actually remember to put in, because they're hour long and it's long format, I actually put in about 4 or 5, just the banners. Obviously, we weren't talking about it. And it worked. It worked, and I was sort of doing them every 15 minutes because people are chopping in. And clearly, I mean, yes, people like the content, but I think we've delivered other podcasts of equal content, but without the reaction. So it definitely does work. So when you
this
see
whole section of this podcast was a CTA in a way.
I thought that was a cunning way to talk about it.
Oh yeah, you guys should just subscribe. I guess that's probably what should happen.
Thanks guys. If you've enjoyed us rambling, then
what's it
please.
Called? Like neurological conditioning or something.
That's right.
Yeah, we're drip.
Yeah.
You'll be thinking of us tonight asleep. Yes.
I want to come back to the thumbnails.
Yeah.
Because when I started, the first thing I remember, and it was just the most simplest advice, it was from Mr. Beast. Of all people, someone who's got 200 million subscribers, I took his advice.
Of course.
And it was very simple. It was have a good thumbnail, have your title sort of reflect and sort of bounce off the thumbnail. And then once they click into your video,
deliver.
Make sure that they stay there. And give them the value that they've clicked for so they can stay as long as possible so then the video can be put out to as many people.
Your retention is insane.
I usually get probably 4 or 5 minutes per video is normally how long people sort of spend with me, which is good. Like I'm happy with that.
Your videos are average sort of 15 minutes-ish, aren't they? Sort of 12, 15 minutes?
Anywhere between 12, 15 and 20 is sort of my... Yeah. The longer ones I'll make, like I did a how to use every camera feature. That's like 30 minutes.
Yeah.
They're hard to edit. Like I get through 10 minutes of that. I'm like, this could be one video done.
Yeah. I have a similar, my retention in Brazil is insane. It's off the chart. Every time I upload in there, it's like, oh my gosh, why can't it's like 7, 8 minutes.
Whoa.
I mean, some of them are quite long videos too, but it's I think it's just, I'm hitting on something there. I just need to invest more time and making sure, because I think there's a lot of potential on that. It's just a weird situation. It's the same content, different audience, and they behave completely different.
The thing I see with the thumbnail side of things that a lot of people make mistakes with is they put the title of the video in the thumbnail.
I'll repeat
it's the same text, right? They're just repeating themselves.
Have to complement each other. Yeah.
They have to complement. There has to be some sort of, like maybe one has the question, the title has the answer, or the questions in the title and the thumbnail is the answer.
Yeah.
But they can't have the same text because, and sometimes there's too much text or the text disappears. I go a lot because I'm curious sometimes at 1 a.m. vidIQ, they do a thumbnail audit on their Twitter. And I sometimes just scroll through the thumbnail audits and some of the thumbnails, you can see straight away what they need to do. It's like, that should be obvious. But
I quite like Marquez's advice. It was more on the title, but on the thumbnail as well. But on the title, he was like, never ask a question unless you provide the answer in the thumbnail.
100%.
So you very rarely see him asking a question in the title, but he always uses an exclamation mark. Like 99% of his title has an exclamation mark.
I'll capitalize a letter for emphasis. Like not a letter, sorry, a word. Like the one I did on Sunday was Samsung DEX will never was in capital letter be the same. And then the thumbnail was changed forever.
Do you guys use thumbs.tv?
Yes.
Yeah.
No. What's
What
that?
a tool that is. I use that on every video. It's literally because you can control then, how it will look on every
on all the
device.
different platforms. Yeah.
Oh.
And
So you drag your
sometimes
thumb
I
in the
have to
titling.
capitalize a word or maybe two to make it fit into the second line so that it doesn't break the sentence.
Oh.
Yeah,
I've never heard of that.
Yeah, this week's one is already
I'm
sitting in
Canva
there.
and Photoshop. That's my two.
I wish the mobile one would be the first option that they show.
Yeah, it's right down the bottom, isn't it?
Yeah,
it's right,
but yeah,
right down the bottom.
Any picture in there.
Yeah. As soon as I finished making it yesterday, I dropped it in there. My title's in there, so I can now see what it's going to look like on
It's
mobile.
my process every video. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
If it's free,
Yeah,
I'm all up for free.
It's free.
Stuff.
It's free.
All tax writable stuff. That's also really good as well.
And that's a great thing. Talking to you guys, you always pick up something different, something new, something we should be trying. There's so much out there, and we all get into our own routines and workflows, and it's great just bouncing ideas around.
Yeah. What do you do about subtitles, you guys?
I haven't. I've started to look at because Gling will export some, and I've downloaded it, and then I didn't do anything with it.
I think not enough is said about the importance of it because I think that they're all.
Mr. Beast bangs on about it. He says you have to.
Yeah, I put 27 languages on every video.
Yeah,
because they do get SEO and they get indexed on search, but the YouTube system for that is like going back to 1980s. It's so manual. You have to literally copy and paste stuff several times.
Gling can export the file that you can put in.
Yeah, but it's just adding languages. It's such an archaic
right,
thing.
okay.
It's now something I don't do anymore, but it's still a chunk of time that someone has to do it.
I'm sure maybe a mate of mine said there is a plugin for Final Cut, but at the moment, once I finish my complete export and it's sitting there, I then put that exported file into Premiere and get an SRT file out of that.
Yeah,
and I just upload it.
That part, you can even use YouTube's own transcript. Now, what YouTube does is fine. You can download that SRT. So sometimes, if I went off piste in the script, which happens pretty much every video, I just upload it, let YouTube do the thing in English, download that SRT and use that as a translation file, which is fine. That's not the issue. The issue is if you add 20 odd languages, it's so many clicks. It's about 15 clicks per language.
Yeah, because you translate the title and then you have to translate the text, don't you? It's on every language.
I don't
click,
do the title. It's literally just the subtitle.
And have you noticed in studio, I'm sure it's not just me, when you've uploaded and it gets to the part where you want to add end cards or cards during the video, it won't do it now until it's processed. Before, you were able to do it.
Yeah, you could do it before.
Yeah, now I'm not having any joy with it. I have to let the thing process and remember to go back to it.
Oh. No, I haven't had that issue. I haven't had that issue. I uploaded one Thursday last week, and it was
really
on hotel Wi-Fi. It was 50 minutes to go, and it was fine.
I think I don't notice it because I spend so much time in the description as well, typing the,
do you?
the timestamps. The timestamps take because I've got to watch the video as it's uploading, and do the timestamps.
I'll do that on my final watch through. I have my notes open, and as I'm going through the final time, just before exporting, when you've watched it endless times, I'm making notes then for the timestamp.
I'll add a marker in Premiere.
Yeah,
or sometimes I'll do a heading, like if I'm introducing the camera section or something. I'm doing because how many cuts do you put in? I put chunks of minutes, like my
30 seconds.
Oh, I see. 30
seconds because I want to. Yeah, because people will skip through it. And sometimes they might skip like a whole minute.
Yeah, okay.
It's almost like I only do it now if it's a video that's longer than 10 minutes.
Yeah, okay.
For shorter, maybe even 11 minutes, I'm now not putting any because people will use those as a marker to skip.
I noticed when I put the timestamps in, there's a lot more up and down sort of ripples in my watch. What's the watch line or whatever it's called? Yeah. But if I don't put anything in, it's a lot of a straighter line towards the end because I think they're like, well, what's coming next? There's a bit more maybe intrigue. So I don't know. I haven't decided yet whether I should do cuts or should do timestamps or not. I'm still on the fence. I do them sometimes if it's a long video, but if it's like 15 minutes, I might just ignore it.
I appreciate it, but it's such a hack to skip.
Yeah. Sometimes if I don't do it, I'll get the comment, "Oh, timestamps, please, bro."
Video starts up.
Come on, man.
I don't know. Some of the comments. I had somebody this week. I mean, the effort that goes into editing, all the work that goes into it, and somebody says you missed a bit shaving, and it's like Really?
Honestly,
That's
I
the only
can't
thing
swear
you can
here,
pull
but yeah,
out.
that
That's
would
the
be a
only
straight
thing you
up.
can pull out of this video. Is
We should read some funny comments on here. It would be, I think that would make for a good cathartic YouTuber exercise. Like I had one the other day tell me I shouldn't say that the Samsung ecosystem is better than Apple. And I'm like, I can say what I want, really. Like if I think it's better than Apple, it's my channel and it's my thumbnail. I can pretty much say that if I want.
Yeah,
like,
you certainly can.
It's almost say about you moving your hands a bit or something.
oh yeah, I constantly get you talk with your hands too much. It's too distracting. And I'm like, I'm Italian. So
Yeah, because they know you're Italian, right?
You just better deal with that. Or that I look like Steve Jobs. I get the Steve Jobs one a lot.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought that. Yeah, I
true.
see what they meant. Yeah.
I mean,
I can't.
they're not wrong.
Yeah.
I'm looking at myself on the screen now, and I'm just imagining
Round
mocking
glasses.
the S Pen and mocking large screens. And I'm like, yeah, I guess so. I guess so. The one that hurt was they said a chubby Steve Jobs. I was like, ooh, you should have seen me back in my football days.
The one I keep getting is Anthony Hopkins. Oddly,
Oh yeah, okay.
I don't see it, but I've had that numerous times. There's a lot of Anthony Hopkins about you, not his bank balance, but other than that, apparently there's a lot of Anthony Hopkins. Old, I'm thinking it's probably what I mean.
Yeah, I get the Incredible Hulk guy apparently. And
The original one.
When I'm hungry.
Which one?
I don't know. The
one, Lou Ferrigno one.
Mark Ruffalo.
Ruffalo, yes.
Mark Ruffalo.
Yeah.
Oh, I've been loving his movies recently. Actually, I've watched a lot of his
I
movies.
was like, yeah, I wish. Maybe after. Anyway.
Okay, guys, I think we kind of got through what we needed to get through, right?
Yeah, I think so.
We're gonna go.
What this is going to be like editing. Wish me luck.
Yeah, good luck.
Who knows
mate.
what we're walking into?
I'll be sipping a beer later with Alex out at his gym.
I'm not touching it until gym. Yeah, I'm not touching this until Friday. So if you get a panic call on the group chat, you'll know that.
So I'll be in Portugal. So hopefully touring Sporting Lisbon Stadium in Portugal. So
yeah, your son still doesn't know about it.
No. We've got the Ronaldo jersey in the bag.
Nice.
Which I almost revealed when I was at the car hire place on Sunday when they wouldn't give me my car because I didn't have a physical license. So
yes, welcome.
Yeah,
Gotta love London.
Story for another time, but I'm still a bit too raw to talk about that at the moment.
Yes, I read what you were saying. It sounded like a pretty stressful Sunday to me.
Yeah. Anyway.
Right. Okay, guys. Well, we did it. Yep. And I'll be seeing you again before you go back, Daniel and Alex. I'll be seeing you soon as well. So the bromance ship carries on.
Yes. Yeah.
Guys, if you enjoyed the video, don't forget
for subscribing.
subscribe. I hope you please do. It does make a big difference to us. It really does. And if you're listening to the audio version as well, if that's via Apple Podcast, go and give a good review on there. That helps us as well. We're available everywhere: Spotify, Apple, and of course YouTube Music as well now as an audio podcast. So
Joe Rogan, watch yourself.
Yeah, we're on a roll.
He's got to buy out soon, doesn't he? Like, and
we're going to be chomping at his type again. We're biting at his heels.
Conversations, like it has to finish.
Yeah, we're all but there. Yeah, honestly, we're all but there.
Exactly.
2 weeks time, we'll be back.
I won't be, unless you want to have me on again. But
of course we want to have you on again. Of course we do. Guys, been a blast. Thank you.
Thank you, David.
See you. Cheers. Bye.
See you.
Bye.